Me too.
I watched X-Men Apocalypse last night because I hate myself. My God, that movie is awful.
Okay, let's go ahead and talk about the X-Men franchise in itself. Okay, let's not just start with Apocalypse, which was the end. Let's start from 2000s.
No, you know what?
X-Men.
Should we start out with
X-Men the animated series?
Yes.
You want to start with X?
I start out with the Pride of the X-Men.
Pride of the X-Men.
All right. Thank you. All right.
The show?
Starting with the Pride of the X-Men. The first time I saw that was at a comic book convention. Frank, I can't remember if you were there or not.
I think I was with you.
You were with me?
It was.
Yeah, I was not there.
It was WonderCon. It was our first. It was our first time we ever went to WonderCon. It was me, you, and Mango. I remember Mango's sister and
her boyfriend drove us.
Up there and dropped us off. And we saw on a, swear to God, it had to be a 19-inch
TV screen, and with a VCR attached, not attached to it, but connected to it.
And they put in this thing, and we saw the X-Men cartoon, and I remember animation-wise and everything. Yeah. I was like, oh my God, this was so great. And then I heard Wolverine talk, and
with an Australian accent.
Oh my God. He was saying the bloody dingo, and I was like, wait, what the hell is this?
He's Australian?
Yeah, it was like, I mean, he was even saying like slang, like Australian slang, which I think is funny because an Australian ends up playing him in the movies for 17 freaking years.
So you know what?
So maybe the people, they probably knew something. They were like, he's Canadian. They were like, no, he's not. He's Australian.
He's Canadian. He's Australian. He's Canadian and Australian.
We're just going to force dice into everything.
That's right.
But, so I remember that, and for years.
Guys, when was the first time you saw Pride of the X-Men? Can you remember, John?
I saw it. It was on just regular TV.
Yes.
I saw a commercial for it, tuned in,
was
blown away.
Yeah. Frank, do you remember, like, when did it come on, like, before Spider-Man or something? I can't remember.
They did that thing where it was on one of those Marvel blocks where it would just show up instead of something else once in a while. So it was like a debut. You know? And I didn't see it live either. It was like maybe Saturday morning or even Sunday morning. They used to have that Marvel Action Universe.
Iron Man,
RoboCop. So I think it might have shown up there, but I didn't see it. And then Pat came in with the tape. Dude, you got to check out this tape.
And Pat had, I think Pat caught it and he actually recorded it because anything X-Men, he was on top of it.
And I remember Pride of the X-Men, that was it. I guess it was a pilot episode. There was no other episodes.
Never saw it again.
Never saw it again for years and years and years later. I don't know the actual numbers here, but I believe X-Men the Animated Series, I want to say dropped in the mid-90s, around 95, maybe 96.
Was it that late? 95? Yeah, that sounds
probably
right.
93 or 4.
Maybe 94?
94?
94?
That's
somewhere.
I was out of school.
I was definitely out of school, and I was in my own apartment, and I was a grown man when girls was coming by the house, and we would not let them in the house while we were. I remember clearly.
And, not girls, young women.
Yeah, we just did a show on that.
John. Yeah, you're right. But anyway, we were grown in our own place.
95 I was just getting out of service.
And I remember that first episode too. I believe it was like called Rise of the Sentinels or something like that.
Yeah,
and
most likely.
In that show, Jubilee we were introduced to the X-Men by Jubilee. If I can remember correctly. She was the one that was running around the mall being chased by Sentinels. And Rogue and Storm was in there shopping, and Gambit, and everybody was in there.
Now, let me tell you something about this.
I thought it was an interesting team.
Definitely an interesting team. Different. I never did enjoy the animation as much as I wanted to.
It was not as good as Pride
of the X-Men, right?
It was not as good as that. But I did get used to it because that was, I mean, it was the ongoing series. It was what it was.
Did not watch that series.
Oh, you didn't watch that?
I never knew it was on.
I remember that first year, maybe even two.
Yes.
Religiously watching.
And please, Frank, tell me you were a grown man watching this show as well. I don't want to feel like I'm out of it.
I didn't watch it when it was on. I watched it all later.
You watched it all the way to the end?
You watched it later.
I watched it like in 2005 or something. I watched them all with my kids.
Yeah,
Or
and
maybe 2007. I never watched it in '94 because I was like on the road and working and didn't know it was on Fox on Saturday mornings.
yeah, yeah.
Saturday morning was not a time for television at that time.
It was a
of my
time
life.
for nursing your hangover.
No, it was the time for finishing up work and going to bed. I was been on midnights forever, pretty much.
Gotcha. Well,
Work midnight to 8. At 8 o'clock, you don't want to watch cartoons.
ooh.
But sometimes.
Yeah, I'm saying sometimes. Yeah, I tell you what though, that it was a good series, and I remember each episode having a moral. And,
Now, I don't know the actual, but I feel personally that they went with this team because this was the team when Jim Lee was drawing the X-Men books.
Around
when
that
they had redid
time,
their
yeah.
numbers and they did the X-Men 1 and they had the blue team, gold team, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It was that Cyclops, that Wolverine, that
Yeah.
Storm, that Gambit, and Rogue with their...
And that's what sparked that cartoon anyway. So what year was that X-Men number 1? 91?
X-Men 191.
No, X-Men number 1.
Oh,
the
oh.
reboot.
Oh, that was like
91.
91, maybe 92?
So
Yeah.
like a year or so afterwards, they had the cartoon ready. So yeah, 93 or 94.
Yeah, yep. Jim Lee sparked that.
I didn't see
whole
that Spider-Man series until later too. The whole like Spider-Man 95. or
Now,
whatever,
speaking
the
of
same-
Spider-Man, before Pride of the X-Men, there was a Spider-Man and his amazing friends, and they needed help, and they had to go to the X-Mansion because
Oh.
Iceman and Firestar were
that is burned in my memory.
from
because
this
Dark
former
is-
group that I didn't know anything about. I was like,
Yeah.
they're from another group?
Yeah.
Who are these people?
Wait, there was other groups other than the Fantastic Four?
And then that's when the X-Men, I was like, there they go. So that was actually the first time that
The first introduction to
the
the
first
X-Men
introduction
was
of the
that
X-Men.
Spider-Man and his new
Before
friends.
then,
Yeah.
then they got that. Then they got the long running X series, and then there was a couple other X series animated that came out after that. I believe there was a Wolverine and the X-Men,
Right.
and there
Yeah.
was
Evolution was.
Maybe
good. I
I'm
watched
just
that
a little older, but, or caught on a little older. My first exposure to the X-Men was in Secret Wars, the original series, the original 12-issue series,
Yeah.
and
Well-
but I think it was the 4th or 5th issue. Spider-Man went in and just beat the crap out of the entire team.
That's right,
Single-handedly. And Professor X even admonished them after the fight and said, "You let one person beat your whole team, you guys need to go back to the danger room." Secret Wars, that's my first experience with the X-Men.
Now, you know where your real first experience with the X-Men was for everybody? Was those Slurpee cups in 1978. That's where I learned about Daredevil, Red Sonja, X-Men, Doctor Strange, and all these Marvel heroes I had no idea about. Like, who's this? Why is it on my cup? Oh, okay.
All right. Wish I had that cup now.
No kidding, yeah.
Interessante.
That's good. But and interestingly enough, there was a mutant series in the mid '90s, and I'm
Yeah.
sure you remember
I
it.
remember. I don't
that
remember.
one episode.
What's the title of that
Are you
series?
talking about Gen X?
Yes,
Generation X.
Generation X.
It was. I swear to God, what this
Bumper
show,
Robinson. Was,
Bumper Robinson was in. He played Mundo. It was what was that group? Generation X was kind of like they took over where the New Mutants left off because the New Mutants became X Force.
right.
So there was that hole for those angsty teenage mutants,
Right.
And that's where Generation X came from. Gen X. That came in the late. Oh God, that did not last long. I remember
It was.
It-
I think it
it
was just one episode.
I
They may have
remember
canceled it.
watching it. I did not like it.
Yeah, they may have.
I remember there was a
canceled it
guy
in the
with a
middle of the
mouth
episode.
that was always on fire or something. It was all scattered or something.
It-
he had
it
to wear a scarf covered it.
It wasn't
and
the
then he
time.
pulled
They,
it
did,
down.
they didn't have the
That
technology
doesn't sound like another hero I know.
Yeah.
to make it look good like they do now.
And it's funny that you do say when you had mentioned before about Spider-Man, like when we said Spider-Man introduced us to the X-Men and Spider-Man is making friends and you said the Secret Wars.
Secret
thing.
Wars.
Because I do remember in the gag reel of 2000s X-Men, they were all in the lobby or whatever, or the gift room of the Statue of Liberty, the gift shop. And they were all there, and all of a sudden they're about to do their scene, and all of a sudden Spider-Man comes running into the shot, and he
love
goes,
that, yeah.
"Oh wait, I'm in the wrong movie."
I gotta
And
take
everybody
that
busts
back.
up.
It wasn't Secret Wars. It was Marvel's Contest of Champions. That's when I got exposed to like 90% of the Marvel universe. I remember at the Contest of Champions, never even heard of Secret Wars, and my man AM from Comics Most Wanted,
Plug.
he was plug.
Shameless plug.
Shameless plug. He was flipping through an issue of Secret Wars, and I came over and talked to him. That's the first time I met Aaron.
Hey, Secret Wars number 4, baby. That's like, well, I mean, besides number 8. I love number 4. The one with the
His
whole
number 8
cover
is the one where
yeah,
Spider-Man
Spidey, baby, black suit, son.
Yeah.
You know it.
Origin of Venom.
AKA the symbiote.
Yeah, next month Venom's going to be out. Are you going to go see that?
I'm gonna go see it, and I'm already pre-hating on it.
Yeah.
You're pre-hating? I'm going to try to keep open mind.
I'm a pre-hater.
I always try to keep open mind when I see a movie, and I try not to compare it to other movies in the genre and just let it stand for itself.
I don't do that.
Are you successful doing that?
Yeah, I think I give movies a fair shake. That's why you hear such crazy movies coming out of me that I like.
Yeah.
Because I say, hey, you know, I let the movie stand for itself.
Yeah.
I watch it.
I am definitely going to do all that, yes.
But I'm still a hater. Because I'm not going to
All right,
see
there we
Shazam. I'm hating on Shazam.
Why are you pre-hating on DC?
I'm pre-hating
Because
on
he doesn't
Shazam.
like, what's his name? Levy?
Zach Levi?
Zach Levi? Oh, wow.
No, I'm pre-hating it because I watched the previews.
Oh.
Was
It looks like they're
They were bad.
it looks like they're trying to have fun in a DC movie.
Yeah, I thought it looked cool.
Yeah.
Yay.
For once.
And you've got a kid that's a perfect age of, 12-year-old boy?
Billy Batson.
I know. I love 12-year-old boys.
I mean, they called the character the Big Red Cheese for a reason. It's not supposed to be as
it's not serious.
serious as the
No,
other guy.
but I don't want it so campy that it's up there with the whole TV Batman. That's
It'd be like
Well, you
Plastic
get
Man.
too
They'd have to do
campy.
it that way.
Yeah. You can't do any better than
No,
that.
that's exactly what I do want, though. So maybe they're making a movie for people who don't like the existing DC films.
I'll see it, but I'll see it, but not at the theater.
What do you think of that?
I have yet to watch Justice League. I don't think I ever saw the entire Batman versus Superman, and I never watched Man of Steel. So maybe this movie is aiming for the people.
You know, I want to say something to piggyback off of what Frank just said. When it comes to the tonality of these DC movies, a lot of with the DC Extended Universe, they all had the same tone. They were all very grim, dark movies. And tonally, I think a lot of the fans just, you know, we wanted to like it, but we didn't, you know, like it.
Well, I
Because
think
no one was relatable.
I think that's because they started with the 3 Batman movies.
Right, and
they were very
you
dark
almost like,
movies.
you know what, and that's what
they
people
said,
say.
this is
You
a success,
almost-
so let's make every other movie like the Batman movies.
And
you can't do that.
And this is what I want to say. And this is what I want to say, how Marvel has went against that and made that same mistake. And I'll say it like this real quick. When you look at the Marvel Cinematic Universe, when you look at their movies, they give you the, you know, if you want a grim, the gritty Captain Americas, the way those movies were, the wisecracking Iron Man, you know, you can have you go up again with the Guardians of the Galaxy, and then Thor had a 3-movie arc where tonally the movie had changed from where it began to where it ended to where you got Thor as probably one of the most likable, relatable characters, as well as being the most tragic Avenger, because throughout the entire Infinity War, basically is a guy who is lost everything. He lost his whole family. He's basically just waiting to die, but until he dies, he's got to fight with everything he has. You know?
Yeah, that's a very good point.
And while the whole time he's making, you know, self-deprecating jokes. You know? So you have that. And the Marvel Cinematic Universe, they take you on that roller coaster ride up and down tonally with their movies. Now, when you switch it to their Netflix shows are all the same dark, grim tone. And, you know, where in Daredevil, we loved it. Jessica Jones, we were kind of like, okay, well, this is kind of cerebral, but I mean, this is real shitty. I mean, she's raped and all this stuff. It's not good. It's bad.
Yeah.
And then you went to Harlem with Luke Cage, and it's like, hey, man, this is still just bad.
Shit's bad out here.
Then you went into Iron Fist, and it was just bad.
Oh, come on.
The show was
Give
bad.
Iron Fist a break.
And then we thought we were gonna make things turn
Defenders.
around with the Defenders, and then it was still just tonally, it was still just grim and bad, and then it just lacked the action. that we really
I
wanted.
mean, it's written as one sort of cohesive. I think they probably had that idea in mind from the start.
I understand that, and it feels like the showrunners they all just collectively agreed. This is the outline. This is the blueprint. This is where we're going with this, and they're sticking to it because the Punisher, tonally, it's going to be grim.
Yeah,
Punisher is going to be dark.
Yeah.
It's the Punisher. Okay, I think we had shades of lighting up in Iron Fist season 2, which again I saw. Because like you, I give all of these comic book things a shot. I'm gonna go watch it and I'm gonna sit through it, even if it's a slog. I'll stick with it.
Yeah.
I just gotta say, the only thing that will get me in the theater paying for Shazam is if I take my 5-year-old nephew with me.
All right.
That would be the only way. I'm not saying it's a bad idea. I'm not saying they shouldn't make fun, lighthearted kid movies, but it's a kid movie. I didn't see the Pokemon movies, even though my cousin begged me to go with them, and I'm not going to see this movie, at least not until it comes out on cable, because I just don't think I'll enjoy it. I'm not saying it shouldn't be made or it's bad. I'm just saying I won't enjoy it. I don't want to see a silly, corny, campy nonsense for 2 hours. I certainly don't want to pay $10, $12 to get in.
Wow.
The last Pokemon movie was a serious affair, actually, to tell you the truth. Check it out. And there's a Dragon Ball Z movie this Christmas.
Oh, if you guys want to hate on me,
Oh my God.
I also couldn't watch Harry Potter.
No, I never got into Harry Potter.
No,
I think I was a little too old or not into it.
You dodged the bullet, Ralph.
Yeah. Thank you. All right, I rarely dodge those. I go and see crap.
It's the Matrix sunglasses and black shirt.
Yeah, it's this. Well, we took a major detour off.
We did take a major detour.
X-Men.
So now 2000 X-Men.
Yeah, 2000's X-Men.
That was for me. That was the first really. It was a superhero movie that I've been waiting for. I was an X-Men fan.
Yeah.
I was like a lot of the fans. I was upset at the casting of Wolverine until I saw the movie.
Right.
And then from that point on, Hugh Jackman was Wolverine.
Yeah.
But I actually was a fan of all of the other casting of the X-Men.
Yeah.
James Marsden as Cyclops. Famke Janssen as Jean Grey. Now, as the franchise went on, clearly these chicks was a little too old to be playing these roles. Like, they was too old.
Before you say it, this is one thing I wanted to say. I wish that they just would have started the X-Men with the 4 people.
But that wasn't the popular team.
I understand that.
Now, when they go the X-Men First Class, they had a perfect opportunity to do that, and they still messed it up.
Yeah.
Even though I did like that movie.
I did.
I gotta say, the first X-Men movie, the 2000 X-Men movie,
Yeah.
well acted,
Yes.
well cast,
Correct.
terrible script. That's what I thought. I thought the script was very weak.
Very weak, and I agree with you, and I think the script got much better in X2.
Yeah, X2 was definitely a better movie. It was
Way better movie.
Better plot.
Definitely.
Everything.
I mean,
And they actually showed Wolverine.
What happens to a toad when it's struck by lightning? The same thing that happens to everything else. I'm like, can I leave now? You gonna roll the credits?
I was still happy though. I mean, that was a terrible line, and it was one of those movies where you notice the first two movies, Halle really tried to keep that accent, and then after that,
it was gone.
It was gone.
Gone, baby, gone.
Yeah. Almost like
because she'd been living in New York for a while by then.
Yeah, like the Scarlet Witch.
Yes.
What happened to her? Yeah, the current Scarlet Witch. What happened to her accent?
Oh yeah, she phased it out like Ross.
She got a voice coach. It's like every other actor.
She's like, dude, I'm the little sister of Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen. Okay, that's who I am.
And the better actress too.
Way better.
I'm saying. And cuter.
Is he? Yeah. Well, yeah. I don't want to get into that. Just all bad.
All right, so 2000's X-Men, definitely thumbs up. It was great. Going back to it now, some of the
it does not
effects
hold up.
Don't hold up.
It doesn't. No, most of the movie doesn't hold up.
But at that time, it was awesome.
it was great.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say great. I wouldn't say bad.
Well,
it was
look,
good.
As
good.
a fan of the genre, I was extremely excited. I was so happy. Even the director, Bryan Singer, I was a big fan of his. Like,
Not a fan of Bryan Singer. Man,
you guys
very
know-
much a fan of Bryan Singer, director.
what you guys know, the comic, or at least you do, Ralph.
Yes.
What comic I love the most in the 80s?
Yeah.
Daredevil.
Daredevil, yes.
I was very excited to see that movie. I was extremely
my God.
motivated to
All right,
see
we're going to
that
skip
movie.
right ahead to 2003's Daredevil.
Yeah. Just because I'm excited to see a movie doesn't mean it delivers. Because that movie certainly did not deliver.
Yeah, you're right.
I was sitting there in the theater watching it. I'm like, I waited all my life for this?
Yeah.
I was just...
Did you ever see the R-rated, like the director's cut?
The director's cut was...
I did see the director's
it
cut.
helped.
It was slightly
It's not
better.
great. It helped, yeah.
Slightly better.
Out of curiosity,
Good.
being a fan of Daredevil, the Netflix Daredevil,
Yeah.
did you like that at all?
Absolutely. I really enjoyed it.
Okay, because that was like really good.
Yeah, that was. He's a dark character. He's in Hell's Kitchen. He's
tortured soul.
Yeah,
And he's been at
But I don't understand why he had to sleep in a bathtub with a coffin.
It was like
So he wouldn't be overwhelmed by the sound.
yeah, like a what you call it?
Hyperbaric chamber.
Hyperbaric chamber.
Well, why did he sleep in a hyperbaric chamber? What's with the water? Am I supposed to believe he can breathe
The
underwater?
water absorbs
No,
the sound.
there's salt in the water, and he floats on the water.
So it's just his ears are in the water.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Hey, man.
All
I'm
the
not
time.
saying
And
it's
his ass, if that makes a difference.
Yeah, if that's your only problem with that movie,
That's not
you
my
have to
only
watch
problem.
that again.
There's a whole
Talk
fight
about it.
sequence between him and Elektra at a playground that was almost as bad as the Catwoman basketball
scene
scene.
with Benjamin Bratt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, wait, take that fight scene, though, in the playground and play Grease music over it.
And play Grease music over it. That's a great idea. I want to see that mashup if it's not done.
Frank, what did you think about X-Men 2000?
I didn't see it till right before X2 because I the same thing, but I wasn't watching stuff then. But I thought it was okay, and it's like I thought the ending was stupid. I don't remember what the ending was, but I remember I thought it was
Statue of Liberty fight.
Yeah.
okay. Yeah,
The third-
I liked X2 a lot better than X1.
Yeah, X2 is like one of the gold standards of comic book.
I did love one line.
And then Triple X came out and it seemed like a different series altogether.
Triple X.
Now, there was one line in the movie I loved, and that's when he says to Storm to light it up.
Yeah.
And he goes, "You're in a copper statue. I thought you were from a school."
Oh, right. Yeah, good stuff.
That was a good line. That's my only line I liked in the movie.
It's like there was a lot of good bits, but then it didn't lock together. It's like, well, you can do better. Try again, and then they did.
And they did, yeah. 2002's X2, X-Men United.
Nightcrawler.
Yeah,
Like that opening sequence where Nightcrawler going through the White House was
Yeah. absolutely.
great. That
Yeah.
was how you wanted to. That's how I imagined Nightcrawler's abilities were when I would read in the comics.
Bam.
Bam, and poof, and in and out of place, and they're like, "Oh, Nightcrawler! Oh, I'm in the shower! Ah!" And he's like, "Oh, Villain," you know.
Sorry, Fraulein. Hot tongue, baby. So
Mean got.
So then we skip ahead 5 years to 2007's X3.
Okay, X-Men: Last Stand was not a good movie.
Now, hear me out.
I just did not.
I've said this before. I hate myself. I love this movie.
I
hate
First of
myself.
all, it was Brett Ratner.
It's bad,
Is when
but
Brett
I love
Ratner took over.
Did you talk to your therapist about this one?
I was knows.
I was like, "This is not good. This is not good. This is not
Yeah.
good." My heroes, why are they here? Why are you killing off people all early
I know.
and not explaining it? You just
No.
killed off Cyclops and didn't say nothing. And did nobody care in the X-Men that Cyclops was dead?
No, Cyclops was dead and nobody
Yeah,
cared.
oh, here's his glasses. Where's Jean? Oh, where's Scott?
Yeah.
Did he really just die?
Yeah.
Did they just kill off Cyclops and then didn't mention it and didn't say anything again
I
until X-Men Origins Wolverine, when all of a sudden now Cyclops is here?
Yeah. But listen, what's even worse?
So they brought him back.
I didn't like Jean Grey actually reciprocating Wolverine's love for her back. You know what I mean? It's like,
Well, yeah, that's why they killed off Cyclops so they can do it.
Yeah, we want him and her together, not him.
I'm like, so
You
wait.
know,
I'm like, if you kill off Cyclops in X-Men: The Last Stand, there's no Rachel, there's no Cable, there's no Hulk, there's
Yeah.
no. I'm like, It's
So
a major X character.
It
that
had
they
last in the title.
You know what was missing? I'll tell you what was missing from those 3 movies. There was I think they tried to show the love triangle between Wolverine, Cyclops, and Jean Grey, and I don't think they did a very good job at it. And by X3, nobody cared that Cyclops was dead. Yeah. Because even though I'm not bagging on the actor, I think it was poor writing, he just really didn't shine as the leader of the X-Men.
Yeah, you know what?
He really did.
You're right. You're right. It was like, if you're not a fan, you would just be like, hey, Wolverine's the leader of the X-Men.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's why they did. X-Men and the Wolverine, the cartoon came out.
But you know what was perfect casting? That's right, Niles. I loved Kelsey Grammer as the Beast. I don't care what
he was a good Beast.
He was a good Hank McCoy.
Juggernaut was awful.
Beast. Juggernaut was terrible.
Yeah, terrible job.
All of the Morlocks, or they were supposed to be more. They didn't even explain that they were the Morlocks. They they just used a bunch of the Morlock characters and it was like somebody just said, "Oh, here's a good character."
Yeah. Who's that?
Here's a good character.
They've got long nails.
No, it was almost as if they were supposed to make their picks, but they show up at the last minute and did it right there, didn't they?
You know what? This sounds like shots fired, and I don't like where you're going with this.
If any of our fans want to see a backstage pass to retro recast,
yeah, right.
picks are made.
You know what?
Before the camera.
I'll accept that shot, but I still think shot. We talking about practice?
That was just a shot over the bow.
Talking about practice.
Well, going back to the X-Men. Yes, I thought the franchise kind of completely. You said last was in the title.
Yeah.
It completely fell apart.
It did.
So then it gets a reboot.
Yes.
And going back to what you said, X-Men First Class, they had a perfect opportunity to start with the actual first class of X-Men. But this time they choose to
make Havoc older than Cyclops?
Havoc's older by 20 years. He's older than him. And Mystique is
again a part of the team. Or wait, again in the movie. I mean,
I loved X-Men First Class, but I went watching it the first time. They were just taking their powers and putting them in their own characters. Well, but saying that, it still was a good movie.
I liked it. Don't get me wrong.
And I understand the reason why they did what they did, because they wanted a younger Charles Xavier. Yeah. So if you have a younger Charles Xavier, you can't have Jean and Scott and stuff, because Charles was older. He was a grown man, and they were teenagers.
And how about that performance by Magneto?
I thought Michael Fassbender was
excellent. Tortured.
He played a great young Magneto.
Excellent.
And you really felt it and I love how they used the opening scene from the 2000s X-Men.
Yeah.
With the kid.
Oh, that's right.
And then they went even further and then had Kevin Bacon of all people.
What makes everything better?
You put Bacon.
You know what? My favorite X-Men story is the Dark Phoenix story, and I used to even have the comics.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like I hated the movie. I thought it was a great movie, but what did you do to the Hellfire Club?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Sacrilege.
Yeah, I was so mad about
blasphemers.
Yeah, so it definitely had its mistakes and stuff like that. But what the next movie did was X-Men Days of Future Past. It reset the timeline. It really fixed how Deadpool jokingly did it in his movie.
Right.
That movie actually reset and fixed the continuity. So that way, at the end, when you saw Cyclops was alive at the X-Mansion, looking at Wolverine, he was like, "Yeah, what? Stop being a dick."
Flavorless and alive.
That was good.
Yeah,
that was a great movie. I loved it, but we skipped over X-Men Origins Wolverine.
No, we didn't.
Oh, all right. Moving on.
That's what we didn't do.
Moving on.
That movie was just an abortion of my favorite character, James Howlett. Who?
I'm saying.
He's Wolverine.
All right, Frank.
Logan.
They came up with that before the movie, but yeah.
I was going to say, you probably know the origins of Wolverine better than any of us.
Well, they did a 6-part origin miniseries in 2002, maybe, and it did that whole James Howlett thing, and told you how he actually had the bone claws first and so on.
Right. Yeah, I hate that. What do you call it when they go back and try and fix something that
a big, huge retcon is what it was.
Yeah,
there was
retcon.
no need.
Well,
but that's how they keep selling it.
Before Origin, though, Wolverine's spotty origin was done in Alpha Flight.
Yeah.
And John Byrne, that was my favorite artist at the time. I had every Byrne issue of Alpha Flight.
Right.
And that's where you got a lot of Wolverine's story. What happened when he was first made into Weapon X. I don't tell you how.
Yeah.
But it's what happened to him when he escaped.
Yeah.
And his whole origin is pieced together in the Alpha Flight.
Yeah, and they always had little shots of that throughout. Like when I became a fan of Wolverine, that was always a thing, and I was actually extremely comfortable with my hero not knowing his past. Yeah. That's why when people could always when they would try to manipulate and say, "Oh, I knew this and I knew that," and he didn't know for sure if they were like. There's this one I got it right up there. It's where he goes back and he was Wolverine back in the 40s with Captain America, and like it was some crazy stuff. And then there was one where he was part of this group with Creed and Maverick.
Yeah, I love that story.
Yeah,
that was
great story. Like, and then the Omega Red, I loved all that. And even seeing Omega Red in Deadpool 2,
so good.
It was like Omega Red was in Deadpool 2, and I was like, that's cool.
I used to always pick Omega Red in the X-Men video game.
They did do an Origins, was it Weapon X series in Marvel Comics Presents in like maybe 93 or 4 also. But I never actually read that.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
You know what? I didn't like the art in Marvel Comics Presents, so I stopped reading it, even though it was the only Wolverine comic at the time, solo comic. It did different stories. It was... Yeah, they do a solo story of Wolverine, and then they threw in the Silver Surfer. Who else was in that comic, right?
Sometimes there was a Hawkeye story for a while. They did a Cyclops run.
I just didn't like the art, so it really turned me off.
It was weekly, so like they had all the who could draw the fastest is who they gave those books to, and it suffered.
Makes sense. That's the Marvel way.
When they do the different art, there was this one book. I can't remember the title of it, but it was a story with Wolverine and Havoc, and the book was all painted.
Jansen,
and they were all like in Mexico or something like that. And it's like Wolverine doesn't have a good relationship.
Meltdown. That was a story.
Cyclops. He definitely doesn't have a good one with Havoc.
Yeah. I tell you what. That's funny hearing that story of when there was only one book with Wolverine in it, because remember when Wolverine was in every single comic book.
It was almost like he was the Batman of the Marvel Universe. Because Batman and the Outsiders, Batman and Robin, Batman.
Oh,
we even have Batman Day.
It was really disappointing.
That was like 2 weeks ago. Batman Day. It's an official day. This is the second year.
He deserves it.
That Batman has his own day. It's like September 15th is the day in the comic books where Thomas took Martha and Bruce to the
theater. See Zorro.
Yeah.
That's what
they got clipped.
That's what disappointed me about when Wolverine #1 came out. Same art as in Marvel Comics Presents. Same quality. I'll say it wasn't the same artist, but same quality and same look. I didn't even buy it when Wolverine came out.
Wow.
Well, going back to real quick, what Ralphie said, there was an X-Men Origins Wolverine, which also spawned, because you can't have the Wolverine and you can't have Logan without X-Men Origins Wolverine. Yeah. And when it comes to the Marvel Mutant franchise, and when it comes to as far as in the cinematic scope, I would say probably some of my favorites for nostalgia purposes. I love the first one, the first X-Men movie. X2 was a better movie. Yeah. Then Days of Future Past that was an excellent film. Yeah. But the crowning jewel was 2017's Logan by James Mangold.
Yeah,
that was by far.
Yeah, we've gushed all over that. And
it wasn't a bad movie, but you talk about those comics, you just got deep in your heart.
Yeah.
The Wolverine limited series, and it continued on with the 2 issues of X-Men. It was one of my favorite stories of all time.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have been happy unless it was word for word on the screen, frame for frame.
I would say
I would not have been happy.
A couple of the tropes of that movie that really resonated the most with me was having the most powerful brain in the world get reduced by senility, something that just happens. For years and years and decades in the comic books, Magneto was always saying that mutants were the next step of the evolutionary process.
Mutants are the next step in the evolutionary process.
But the fact of the matter is, they weren't. They were just a movement. They were just a movement, and then it came to the point where the mutants stopped. There were no more mutants being made. Yeah. It was so crazy, and to see Wolverine going through trying to pop the claw, and he needed Viagra. He can't get the claw out. You know, I mean, that was crazy.
I mean, spoiler alert. Look, I cried like a baby at the end of this movie. I had feelings about it. I ain't lying. I mean, I haven't cried like that since I saw Spider-Man 3.
I think you guys are still talking about the origins with Wolverine.
No,
good God,
Logan.
Old Man Logan was a great movie. I had nothing to base it on. I never read any of the comics, so I just sat in there with a clean slate, watched the movie, enjoyed it.
You didn't catch my joke. I said I hadn't cried like that since Spider-Man 3.
No, we heard it.
Oh,
it wasn't funny.
It was a thud. All right. Fuck you guys. With that,
4. Frank G, R.E.D., and JB. I am Cool Water Kurt saying, if we're going to live together, we're going to have to be able to play together. The more colors, the more better. Peace and love must rule each and every time. Love knows no boundaries, and bullets have no names.
I'd like to plug my man AM, Comics Most Wanted. Please
Why
like
not?
him, subscribe him, follow him.
and I'm Ralphie D for that rock and roll pastry with a French flair, John Bon Jovi bonbons.
Wasn't it a Canadian flair? I mean, I don't want to shit on your joke, but no, I like the French. It's French Canadian.
Jean Bon Jovi.
It's so Jersey and it doesn't even know it.
252.
Adonis, pull yourself together.